Hey everyone, in this video, I'm going to go over how to get started drafting and outlining your research essay. So we have a quiz on this content. It's going to be due on Sunday night, and the rest of this content will help you once we finish the annotated bibliography next week and get started with actually writing up the essay. So let's go look at a sample outline that I've made for you. So when we click on the content, we want to go to Module 3, which is going to be our Week 3 content. Once it loads up, you'll click on the Week 3 schedule. You'll go down here to the research essay outline example, and you can see I have written up for you a sample sentence level outline of a research essay. However, what I want you to actually do is go over here to these three dots and download the file, because when we download the file, I've already downloaded it for speed, you can see that I've actually made a lot of comments throughout this essay and outline, and those outline comments will help you with the quiz, and it kind of explains what's actually happening in the outline. So I definitely want you to download it and look at that. So let's go over the three main areas. We're going to look at the introduction, the body paragraphs, and we're going to look at the conclusion today, and I'll kind of break down what we want to do in each part. So first, in the introduction, the first thing I want to say is introductions go from general to more specific, but some students, they make the mistake coming from their high school classes where they will actually start their essay with a question. We don't want to do that. We want to start with some kind of engaging narrative hook, something to immediately grab the attention. You might want to highlight one big problem in your research area, something that's interesting. I chose to say, the first year that this school opened, they won a state basketball championship. I think that would grab the reader's attention. After we've grabbed their attention, the next thing we want to do is define our research problem. So we need to explain what the problem is that we're looking into. Here, I'm kind of giving the history of what happened when these two schools closed down, Clio and Clayton, and came into one school called Barber County. What happened? So that's kind of my research question. I defined that. One thing that might be different again from your high school writing is we want to use sources even in the introduction. Since you're defining a problem, you need a source to help us know what the problem is. So make sure that you're using at least one source in your introduction. Here you can see in this sentence, I've summarized something I found from an article. Even though it's a summary, there's no quotation marks. We still got to use our MLA in-text citations. You can see I've put that in here right here. So anytime you summarize, paraphrase, or directly quote from an article, you need to put that in-text citation in. As a reminder, in MLA, you use the author's last name and the page number where you found the information. If it's like a newspaper article, something that doesn't have a page number, you would just put the author's last name. So we've hooked our audience, we've defined our problem, we've used the source. The final part of your introduction is your thesis. The thesis is the main thing that you are arguing in the essay. Here, I'm saying that their success came from their coaching, the scoring of their star player, and the support of the communities. Typically, you'll have three things to support whatever claim you're making. Here, I'm saying the success on the court comes from this. But in college writing, you might only have two, you might have four, you might have five. There's no set number of body paragraphs that you're going to have. Three is just the most common. So let's go down to our body paragraphs now that we've talked about the introduction. In your body paragraphs, the first sentence is always a topic sentence, and the purpose of the topic sentence is to connect the information, the evidence in the paragraph to your thesis. So that's what I've done here. You can see I've talked about the first thing that's in my thesis, which is the excellent coaching, and I've said the success can be attributed to the coaching. Now my reader knows this paragraph is going to be the one that talks about the coaching. Make sure you've got that topic sentence in there. In our academic writing, another thing that may be a little bit different is for each body paragraph that we have, we need to have at least two claims and at least two sources to support whatever we're saying. So in this outline, the claims are going to be the A and the B, and then our evidence is going to be the 1 and 2 that are below that. So a claim is just a general statement. It's something that you say that can then be supported with the evidence that you found in your research. So my two claims for this paragraph, in A, it was the coach had to manage the players, and then in B, it's that he installed a press defense. Those are both things related to coaching. They're both general claims, but in academic writing, whenever you make a claim, you've got to have evidence from your sources to back it up. So that's what I've done here in point 1 under A and B. So if you look here, we've got two different ways of incorporating direct quotations that I want to show you. So this comes from our sources. The first way, I'm mixing what the source says with my own writing. So here, I've only taken the most important parts of the source, which say like building a team first culture and having 2 alpha dogs. That's what was in the article. That's why it's in quotes. Everything else is my own writing. So I'm merging my writing with the source's writing. Even though I'm only having like a little bit, you still got to put the in-text citation. And even if like here, you can see my direct quotes are at the beginning of the sentence, the MLA citation always goes at the end. The second way that we can incorporate our sources or incorporate direct text evidence is the full sentence model. So this is if you want to put a full sentence from your article, this is how you do it. So you can see in part 1, what I've done is I've said whatever this information is right here, I've put it in my own words, restated it to introduce the idea of whatever the quote our source is going to say. So you want to put whatever it is in your own words that guides the reader's interpretation. They understand, okay, this quote that's coming, this is what this quote is about. And you can see the other key thing, you want to introduce it with a colon right here. You can also see that in the guide over here that I've got, the guide comments over here. The last thing I want to show you in the body paragraphs is the correct way to do the in-text citation. So if you look here, we end the quote, we put the quotation mark, then we have our parentheses with our author, the page number, and our punctuation always goes after the in-text citation, and it is outside of the quotation marks. So your period always goes after the in-text citation. So you don't need any punctuation here if it's the end of the sentence. You go end of quote, citation, punctuation. So if you were writing the whole thing, you would have your other pieces of evidence here. I didn't feel like doing all of that. Let's go down to the conclusion. So first part of your conclusion, you want to re-emphasize the most important information. So you can see this is pretty similar to my thesis up here, but it is not a copy and paste. You got to put it in slightly different words. You're just reminding the reader of what you've argued. That's what you're doing in point A. In point B, this might be a little bit different than what you've done before, but in the conclusion, whatever you're writing about, you've got some identified audience. You want to tell your audience what they should do with that information. So I wrote about, this integration in segregated schools. So what I said is, if you have these schools that are segregated, maybe we should combine them together. I didn't put this, but, it saves money, it increases diversity, and you might even get the benefit of winning a state championship in basketball. Part C, another thing that might be a little different for you in the conclusions, you want to, when you're doing research, naturally, there are going to be more questions that you can answer in just a 6-page paper. So at the end of your essay in academic writing, you generally want to say, what should future researchers look at? So I said maybe they could look at how the new school does academically compared to the other schools. Is the success just on the basketball court? Is it also in the academic area? I don't know. We'd see. I haven't done the research, but that's something somebody could research. So those are the 3 big things you need to do in the conclusion. You got to restate the information. You got to tell your audience what they should do with your information. And they got to show new areas for research. So all of this information you should be able to use to make 100 on that quiz. You can have the video open while you're taking the quiz, and this should help you as you start planning your outlining and drafting. We're not going to do this yet, but I wanted to introduce the idea while you were still gathering research so you can kind of see how a research essay is organized. If you have any questions, just let me know. I'm happy to help however I can.